Hey guys and girls, this is James Hunter here of the Florida International Group of MVP Realty and the co-creator of The Fig U. This is an online course that myself and my business partner created because we saw a gap in between residential agents trying to get into commercial real estate and then also first-time investors that really wanted to understand investment strategy, understand commercial real estate, and wanted to take that plunge from residential into commercial real estate. Today's segment, we're going to be calling investment thinking with a banking mindset. And the reason I'm calling it this is because with me being an 18-year career commercial banker, I always wanted to think like an investor, but also think like a banker where I could protect the bank's potential liabilities and risks to that asset. The first thing that we're really trying to look at is knowing the property and knowing the area also. Knowing the property, really understand that property, understand the potential risk for that property, understand the rents of where they're at today and where they could go in the future. And when you're looking at this, take a look at the area. What's the growth in the area? What's the marketing rents in that area as they are at that property right now? And where could that rents be potentially in the future? A lot of times rents can be raised due to improvements in the area or also improvements in the property. The other thing that you would really want to try to understand is the insurance cost. Obviously, us living in Florida, insurance cost is a big thing. You really want to understand what your current insurance is now. Could you potentially get a lower insurance quote on that property? Or what could be the risk of this insurance going up over time? And then that would basically hurt the cash flow of the property, potentially putting you at risk of not being able to cash flow that property. I would say the next thing that you really want to understand and stick to the numbers, right, guys? You, as an investor, really know what your investment strategy is, or hopefully know what your investment strategy is, short term and long term. And then when you see these properties and you're understanding the numbers and you understand what your investment strategies are, stick to those numbers. Don't get excited about the property. Don't get emotional about that property and understand where you're going short term and long term. But on the other hand, don't rush to a bad deal, guys, because if you get highly motivated, highly excited, and then you don't understand the numbers, then you could potentially put yourself at risk and rushing into a deal and potentially losing that property or having to put a bunch of cash into the property to get it to where you potentially want it to be in the first place. When we're talking numbers, understanding the calculation of net operating income, I would say probably the most important thing. And net operating income is just basically the gross rents of that property, what the actual expenses of that property, and then what that calculates out to for a net operating income after expenses. And then what I would say to this is always, always, always calculate in on your net operating income a little bit of reserve in there because obviously you're going to have some sort of expense either today or going forward. And that can be a little bit of a strategy to help you not fall into a pitfall of a liability where you can't service it. When I'm speaking of debt, I'm speaking of a debt service coverage. This is a term that you really want to understand, you as an investor, because the bank is going to want to make sure that you understand debt service coverage because they're potentially going to put you in a situation where you have to calculate your debt service coverage on a yearly basis to make sure that it's covering all your debt associated with that property. Debt service coverage is just basically you want to have $1.20 in income for every dollar of debt that you have on that property. I think the next biggest thing of talking about investment thinking and banking relationships is relationships, guys. Please, please, please. Me as a banker always wanted to make sure that my investor had a good relationship with me because we're going to be looking at this property on a yearly basis. And I want to understand that me as a banker, wants to understand that that investor really understands that property, really understands the cash flow. Because let's face it, if he gets in trouble, I want to really, really understand that he understands how to get out of the situation is in now, or he at least has the liquidity to weather that storm until he can get through that and fix that issue. And I would say the last thing is have a plan. Fail to plan or plan to fail, guys. I think that's the biggest things that we can take a look at today. I think if you really think about all the things that we talked about today, you're going to be pretty successful. And if not, guess what? You can reach out to us at the Florida International Group of MVP Realty, or you can always find us on YouTube at the Fig U course. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, guys.